Hey Dicio, what time is it?
Right now, it is 17:01.
Set a timer for 10 minutes.
Okay, the timer will expire in 10 minutes.
Okay, so I don't forget when my talk ends. So hello everyone and thanks for being here. I'm Fabio Giovanazzi, also known as Stypox Online, and today I will be presenting my application which I developed in the last few years. So basically it's a voice assistant, as you've heard, and it's basically an alternative to Google Assistant, except that it runs completely on device, so it doesn't have to send any data to any cloud server or anything like that. Speech processing happens completely on device, and even the actions that are performed, the decisions gets made on the device. So you can see the interface on the right. Basically, you have a button at the bottom which you can use to start the assistant, and then you can ask questions and you can get answers from 13 different skills. Skills are basically the basic units of functionality. For example, if I ask for the weather in Bolzano, then I would get an answer like that one from the weather skill. Dicio is obviously free and open source software, otherwise I wouldn't be here. It's available on F-Droid. And I made an effort to make sure it was translatable by the community, because while for like standard Android apps, it's just a matter of translating the strings, and then it's, yeah, you have platforms like Weblate to translate the strings of an application, and it works quite well. In this case, you don't just need to translate the strings in the app, but also the natural language processing unit. And so yeah, I had to make a few efforts to make sure this would be doable. So, well, first of all, what are the skills that are available right now? There's a bunch of stuff. You can see it at the top. A couple of highlights, I guess, would be being able to call somebody. So you can say, hey, call mom, and then it would ask you, should I call your mom? Yes, and then it goes on. Or you can, just recently some user made a pull request for adding translations. So you can ask, hey, can you translate this to German? And it will translate what you say to German. And I don't know, there's also media control, so pause music, or setting timers like I did earlier, or asking for calculations. And yeah, all of this is obviously backed by being able to process speech. Otherwise, how can you ask questions? And there's a pretty complicated pipeline. All of the components you see here were not made by me, but just connected together, except for the natural language understanding box in the top right. So basically, as you saw at the beginning, it all starts with, hey, Dicio, which is like, okay, Google, basically. And this starts the assistant, or you can also press the button. Then the speech-to-text model kicks in and starts listening to your voice and converting that to text. And there's integrations with the system, so it can rely on big models installed on the system and optimized for your system. Or it can also rely on a VOSC model, which is embedded directly into the application for ease of use. Then this text gets passed to the natural language understanding unit that tries to understand which skill you are trying to invoke, so what you are trying to do. And then the corresponding skill is called, so you see there at the bottom. And finally, this skill uses the data that you mentioned in your query to provide some output, which can be both speech output, so which is then spoken out loud, like you heard at the beginning, or it can also be graphical output, so just a picture of the weather, I guess. I will focus more specifically on the natural language understanding unit. So basically, this is a part, the part that takes in some user sentence, so what the user said, and tries to compare it with a bunch of reference sentences. So these are sentences for which we know what they mean, and we try to understand the one which matches the best, so we can say, okay, we know that a sentence, for example, we know that what is the weather in somewhere corresponds to the weather skill. So if the user says something similar, we can understand that we need to call the weather skill. And yeah, you see an example here. The point of this unit is also to extract entities. So if I say what's the weather in Bolzano, it should be able to understand that Bolzano is the place I'm asking for weather, basically. And yeah, so I made this system, and it's also made in a way that allows the community to basically provide a lot of reference sentences very easily. So, I mean, this is before AI came, so there was no like LLM you can just throw at it, but it was mostly based on just matching sentences, so you need a big collection of reference sentences to which you can compare. And in order to be able to specify these reference sentences easily, I basically constructed a custom parser for a regex-like language that doesn't operate on characters and has not so much to do with regex actually, but it operates on words. And you basically specify all of these reference sentences in this compact language, and then the assistant is able to match them at runtime. So you don't have to write, for example, Java code or Kotlin code. You just write some YAML file with some special syntax. And this also allows the community to easily translate it. So as I said at the beginning, this was translated in 14 languages. I have no idea why the flags are all black, but these used to be the flags. I don't know why they're black. Unicode issues, I guess. And yeah, so this allows the community to translate without having to worry about programming languages which not everyone knows. So now on to some more implementation challenges which I faced. I will start with matching, like extracting some special kinds of entities. So if you just say what's the weather in Bolzano, then Bolzano is just a word, it's easy to extract. But what if I say set a timer for 10 minutes, then you need to understand what 10 minutes means and to convert it to a number that the system can use to actually set a timer of that length. And for this reason, I couldn't find any good library online that does this already. So I had to roll my own library. It's written in Java and Kotlin. And this works well for English and Italian. Again, the flags are black, but they should be the English flag and the Italian flag, because these are the two languages I know. But it's hard for people to contribute new languages here because you have to write Kotlin code here or Java code. So it works, but there's still some work to be made to translate it to other languages and maybe also come up with some way for the community to contribute without knowing any language, any programming language. Then, well, another thing I get asked sometimes is, why shouldn't you just use an LLM, which already is able to interpret language well, as we know? Well, because the point of Dicio is to work entirely on device. So running LLMs on device is not as fast as needed yet. You can run small models on device, and you can ask me about that later because I made some experiments, but yeah, it's still not fast enough, and especially for just matching sentences, this system works decently, I would say. And yeah, small LLMs are also not so good at extracting numbers, dates, and durations, which would be one of the biggest pain points at the moment. Well, and finally, the other implementation challenge was just interacting with the bunch of Android APIs required for, I don't know, speech-to-text, text-to-speech, and so on. And yeah, there was a bunch. I don't like very much Android APIs, if I have to say, but yeah. Now on to what I'll be doing in the future, and also not just me, but all of the contributors that happily joined me in making this application possible. So, well, adding more skills. And for this, I would also say that a good thing would be to have some skill marketplace where users can publish skills and so that they don't have to open a pull request in the main repository. Then also being able, 10 minutes have passed.
2, 1,
Oops.
0.
Stop the timer. Okay. Sorry.
Timer was cancelled.
Sorry about that. And adding more, being able to basically contribute translations directly from the app in the case that some sentence is not understood, so you would just press a button and it gets suggested. Then having more text-to-speech and speech-to-text integrations for better ease of use and better configurability. And finally, maybe some integrations with other applications that allows controlling smart devices and so on. Finally, let me give you a 30 seconds overview of the alternatives that are available in case, just for comparison. So we have Sapphire, which you can see on the right. It's basically another another application very similar to Dicio, but which has not been maintained for the last 2 years. But I talked with the developer a few times, and the others are basically all alternatives that work maybe very well, but they are all not runnable on a phone. They all run on Raspberries or on a PC, and you need to host stuff or self-host stuff, so they're not quite the same. And so this is it. Thank you a lot for participating, and if you have any question, feel free to ask me, and also you can scan the QR code on the right if you want to download it from F-Droid.
Yeah. We have still some minutes for...
Thanks. I came in a little bit late, so I may have missed this, but like, how reusable is like the base infrastructure here? Like, could you just use this to build a desktop app, or is this like very Android specific?
So I would say the skills themselves are Android only, because I tried at the beginning, like it was, I think, 2018 or 2019, to make them work everywhere, but the issue there is that a lot of the stuff you do is specific to Android. For example, posing media is sending an Android intent. But the natural language understanding part is works on its own. It's written in Kotlin, so it can easily be ported to any platform. That's my answer, I guess.
Other comments? We have at least 2.
Yeah, I had a question about, so you said you used an approach in which you try to match sentences, right? Did you try also an approach even simpler than that? So just searching for words that are present inside the sentence, or I don't know if you tried it or not, and if you, so what is if it works or not? Maybe it's a simpler approach instead of having to match sentences, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would work for some things. For example, if I say weather, I guess it's clear that I want weather. But then if you need to extract entities, how do you know where the entity is? Like, if you need to extract Bolzano, you need to know where in the sentence that part is. So if I say what's the weather in Bolzano, it should be able to say that what's the weather in? It's just a context, and then Bolzano is the actual entity. So for that, you do need sentence recognition, sentence matching.
So you found that the structure of the sentence actually is relevant for...
Yeah, it matters for most skills.
Thank you.
I think we have still one question.
Some devices are continuously listening and recording so that when you say the wake word, they can use the last 5 seconds or so as context. Would the Android API allow Dicio to do that?
The wake word is currently being handled by Dicio itself, so it's already listening in the background if you enable it. And the Android APIs do allow it. You need to specify a foreground service that is of type audio or something like that. I don't remember specifically, but yeah, even on, I have published this application even on Play Store, and it was accepted. So I guess the Google overlords accepted such an application. And yeah, basically when it receives the wake word, it just keeps processing speech as you go, and